Hey everyone. So today I wanted to talk about some of those statements that we make, like I can't, or I need to, or I don't do XYZ, or I don't eat XYZ. All of those kind of statements that sound like facts, and so often when they show up in our heads, they really feel true, they feel factual, and we kind of just don't really question them. It's like, oh no, I don't do that, or yes, I need to do that. It just so often happens on autopilot or comes out on autopilot. It's like without even thinking about it, um, we just have this kind of reflex almost. And I'm thinking, in relation to my eating disorder, if, for example, someone had offered me a type of food that my eating disorder had deemed to be off limits, my auto response would be, oh no, I can't, or no, I don't eat that. And I wouldn't even think about it. There was no kind of pause almost between the question and the answer. It was just eating disorder had kind of connected the dots and then fed me a response, which I then regurgitated. And the reason I wanted to talk about these kind of statements is because what I see to be true now is that there's a difference between something being true and us thinking it's true. So what I mean by that is, when we say I need XYZ, the truth, the kind of a true statement, the factual statement is something like I need air to breathe. That's a kind of indisputable fact. We need air to breathe. And I would put my eating disorder related I needs into that same category. Like I was saying, they look very true to me. Whereas actually now I see that those eating related thoughts or beliefs were things that I thought were true rather than things that actually were true. And it might seem like the same thing, but there is quite a big difference, because in those statements we make that we think are true, there's room for us to see something different. So when I would, kind of using my example from before about being offered a food and me saying no, I don't eat that, or I can't eat that, if I add in I think I can't eat that, or I believe I can't eat that, then actually we can start to see that, like, where that's actually coming from. I mean, you could even replace it to change it to my eating disorder believes that I can't eat that. And I think kind of when we start to play around with these words and we start to kind of see which kind of category they fall into, and I totally get that the eating disorder might say, kind of its knee-jerk response might be, yeah, but this really is true. I would just ask that you maybe just pause and see what you really think about that. How do you feel? Does that really feel like that's the case, that that's actually true? Or is it that there is this little, even just a little gap where we can start to become curious about whether this is actually a fact, whether this belief that we've had about what we can and can't, must or mustn't do, whether or not that is actually the case. And certainly for me, when I started to explore this, it was quite eye-opening, and you know, I saw it as this re-exploration of which of my beliefs I actually wanted to hold on to, which were serving me and which weren't. And funnily enough, the eating disorder ones were not serving me anymore. So I was able to kind of gradually let them go. They sort of started to dissolve. And the reason I use that term rather than kind of saying that I you know, got rid of them or chased them off, or you know, doing something that sounds very active, is because it felt like a much more gentle process than that. It's like when I started to see the truth, or the lack of it, behind what the eating disorder was saying to me, it's like they just lost their power. And so actually they started to melt away on their own without me really having to do much apart from just notice that they were there in the first place. So I'd love you to just kind of sit with that and just start to maybe notice what of the things that the eating disorder is saying, what of those beliefs or what look like facts are actually, you know, maybe falling into that category of things that we think are true, or we believe are true, or the eating disorder thinks is true, rather than the really solid concrete facts that you know, like that we need air to breathe. So just play around with that and see what comes up, and feel free to leave any comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.